So, awards are amplifiers. Over the years, businesses have been taught that the focus needs to be on chasing visibility, posting on social media, trying to get likes, trying to get engagement, pushing out more and more social media content. But I've been in business 28 years, and what I would say is the most powerful business growth actually comes from community, not content. Business awards aren't just about self-promotion. They are about building and celebrating and elevating communities. And I think if we can get our heads around that, you can look at it in a completely different light. I think that we are told to post all the time on social media. We are told to do all of these sort of online digital things. But I've been part of Athena for 20 years, and I can honestly say that networking is actually what's built my business. And my marketing agency does very little for itself, social media posts. I've got quite a strong presence on LinkedIn and I've got a website, but the majority of my work comes via word of mouth. And therefore, I don't really do much on social media as my business. I do for the awards, but not for the marketing agency because I don't need to. Because everything I've built via working with people I've met from networking. So awards are another opportunity to build a community and amplify what you do. So I'm going to talk you through the 3 C's of Beyond the Trophy: connection, credibility, and celebration and recognition. And this photo here is from a winners drinks event that I run from my awards twice a year. And it brings people back together who've been part of the awards. It doesn't matter if it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or last year. It's an event I run twice a year, and it brings people back together for networking and for opportunity. And all of the photos you're going to see today on my slides come from my awards, obviously. But I will reference some of those success stories over the years because I think it's really important to illustrate with examples of what I know has come out of my awards. And if they've come out of my awards, then they're going to come out of other awards too. So the first thing is connection. So awards bring people into a room who would never ever normally meet. And this table here is a great example. So at my awards, if people only book one ticket, we put everybody who's booked one ticket on the table together if they don't know anybody else. And therefore, we call them our table of ones. And all of these women went on to collaborate, to exchange details, and to have a fantastic evening together. And they wouldn't have normally met in any other circumstances. So by really thinking about strategically how you connect with other finalists and winners from awards, you can get some great collaborations for your business, great referrals, possible partnerships, all kinds of things can come out of it, but you have to make that happen. So connection for me is one of the reasons when I set up my awards that I wanted people to gain from it, because I'd been to too many award ceremonies where the finalist lists weren't printed in the program. We didn't know who was who. There weren't opportunities for us to connect with people after the ceremony. And when I set up my awards back in 2015, that was headline top of my agenda was how can I make this an experience where people can connect? Because if you've got a high caliber of people in the room because they've all been selected to win an award or be a finalist in awards, then these are the kinds of people that you want to be dealing with. So for me, connection really, really important. And I'm going to talk you through some ways you can do that later on. So the next thing to think about is credibility is shared, not solo. So awards do not just raise your credibility. If you've got a team, they raise their credibility too. They also raise your clients' credibility, the people that you're working with. They also raise your network, the people that you are networking with and championing you. They want to be part of that success for you as well. And they also raise the credibility of your industry, whatever that might be. And I think it also gives you the opportunity to share your message. And we'll all have a message. We'll all have something that we want to get out there. You know, my message at the moment is about all the fake awards that are out there and vanity awards. And I'm very vocal about, you know, how bad that is for our industry. And I am also, my other message is about how positive that awards can be for your business. So they're my messages, if you like. And you will all have your own messages that you want to share. And awards give you that credibility that enables you to get booked, to go and speak at events, to be a guest on a podcast, to write a book or be quoted in a book, or maybe even do a TEDx talk. So it's about sharing your knowledge and experience, and awards give you that platform to do that. And again, these are four women in this picture that didn't know one another until they came to my awards, and they met through my awards and have collaborated and done things together. And I'm really proud of the fact that so many women have come through my awards and made those connections and made something far more than just the trophy that they walked out with that night. And then the third thing is around celebration and recognition. So awards are powerful for people to gain a voice that maybe they're in a sector it's underrepresented. So this lady here, standing here with her trophy, she's a female electrician. And you can imagine there are very few female electricians in the UK. So the awards that she's won has enabled her to get a voice, to get other women thinking, do you know what? I could be an electrician. It's also a great opportunity for community-led initiatives, for charities, for CICs to get a voice, for people that are doing things out there that maybe aren't being heard in any other way. Awards are an opportunity for them to get their message out there. And I think as female entrepreneurs, we are trailblazers, all of us, and we owe it to the next generation of women to inspire them. You know, to me, that's a duty that we need to inspire young women and to say, look, this is what I've achieved. This is what you can achieve too. So I think sometimes we get caught up with that awards are a vanity thing. They're actually not. They're a responsibility, in my opinion. So for me, it's really important that we get this message out there to women that sitting back and not putting yourself forward for awards is in no way a good idea. We should all be putting ourselves out there and showcasing what we're doing and inspiring the next generation of female entrepreneurs that come after us. So I want you to kind of flip your view of awards, and hopefully I've already made you rethink that actually being a finalist or winning an award is much more than just proving that you're the best. It's about finding your tribe. And awards are a gateway, not a goal. And they provide you with a platform. And I'm hoping you're starting to see it from that point of view. But you need to consider carefully about which awards that you enter. So it's about choosing awards that are aligned with your values and the type of community you want to be part of. So, for example, this is Kirsty Gale, who was our most inspiring businesswoman for last year. Now, her business is called Red Carpet Ready. She sells prom dresses and ball gowns and evening wear. So for her, being part of the Best Businesswomen Awards is really important because at the end of the day, she is exposing her business to a room full of women. So for her, that is a real key driver because she's building a community of women that know about her through my awards, and her business is completely aligned with a female audience. So you have to stop sometimes and think about who is it you want to meet, not just what you want to win. So, for example, I've worked with businesses in various industries, and therefore, sometimes for them, yeah, they want industry recognition, so they want to enter industry awards. However, then I've put to them, well, actually, do you want new clients? Because you might be better off entering your county awards or some regional awards that are generic business awards, because that's going to expose you to a whole new client base. Yes, the industry awards are good for industry recognition, but let's take, for example, the Recruiters Award. If you're a recruiter and you enter the recruitment awards, you're in a room full of recruiters. Now, there might be people in that room that you could do strategic alliances with, partnerships, collaborations, all that sort of thing. But actually, are your new clients going to be in the room? Probably not. And therefore, starting to think about, well, maybe I should sponsor, let's say you were a recruitment agency that worked in the law sector, look at sponsoring awards in the law sector to get in front of those people that potentially might be your clients. So it's about a strategy and considering very carefully what you want to achieve beyond the trophy. You know, what is it that you're trying to do? What communities do you want to break into? So if you have a predominantly female audience for your business, then obviously female business awards are going to be good for you. And if not, and your audience is mixed, then you might want to focus on mixed awards. So I think it's really important to think that through. So I often get asked, well, where can you find out about awards? You know, how do I find out where I can enter them? There is a website called awardslist.co.uk, and they pretty much list every single awards that are out there. They also list international awards as well. So if you're not based in the UK or you want to look internationally for recognition, pretty much, I think their website's pretty comprehensive. You can also Google your area where you live and see what awards are taking place. Most areas will have a town or a city award, sometimes more than one. Sometimes they're based on counties or regions, so it's just worth doing your research. And then obviously have a look at what your own industry awards are as well. And then I always say to people, have a look on social media, see what's being shared, see what's being talked about. What have your competitors won? So I think looking at all of those things can help you formulate a plan and start to think about what awards are going to work for you. What I would caveat this with is the fake awards and vanity awards that are out there, and they're on the increase. It's become a huge problem in the awards industry now, particularly for people like me who run awards. Um, well, they'll send people an email telling them they've won an award that they've never entered. They'll make up some fake name for it, and they'll say, "Oh, you're the best coach in Marlow or whatever it is, wherever you live." Now, a lot of these scam awards, they scour award sites like mine, looking at my winners and telling them that they've won an award, or they just look on social media, or they just do some searches on Google, and they're using AI software now to do this. So much so that they're using AI to generate fake nominations as well. Worryingly, one particular company went on to my Best Businesswomen Awards social media and grabbed all of the judges' comments, which we'd got on posts, and repurposed those as nominations for their awards. And it was the eagle eyes of some of my winners that spotted the similarity and flagged it to me. So there are a lot of things going on now. So I always say, if you're not sure, if you never entered it and you're really worried about where this came from, delete it, or you can always send it to me and I'll have a look at it. What I will tell you with 100% is none of these awards come with a community, which is what we're talking about today. So just please delete those. So now I'm going to talk you through 10 ways to grow your business network from awards. These are things most people don't do, and therefore if you're doing them, you're going to stand out. And I'll give you an example of what I did last year. So I was a finalist in the Great British Businesswoman Awards. And I looked through the whole list of finalists. There was 170 women, and I got one of my team to connect up with all of them on LinkedIn. And I sent a message with that connection request and said, you know, I'm one of the finalists, the Great British Businesswomen Awards. I thought it'd be really good to connect. And I've had quite a lot of leads and connections and all sorts of things from that. But what was really interesting was when I turned up at the event with a couple of my team, people were coming up to me saying, "Oh my God, you're Debbie Gilbert. Oh yeah, we connected on LinkedIn. Do you know you were the only person that did that?" So it was interesting from that perspective that I was the only person out of 170 people to actually make the effort to do that. So I think once you get that finalist list, connect up with them. And LinkedIn is one of the better places to do it, simply because if I connect with you, all of your connections become my second degree and vice versa. Okay. So that really massively helps you in terms of longer term marketing strategy and connections with people. Yes, you can follow people on Instagram and obviously send Facebook requests, but I don't connect personally with people on Facebook unless I know them. Whereas LinkedIn, I'm really happy to put people into my network for the reasons I've said. Because I never know when I might need their services or I might need some kind of connection that they may know that person through. So that's the beauty of LinkedIn. And then I think you should take those steps to congratulate the other finalists in your category, which is what I did. So I sent messages and said, oh, well done. I'm also a finalist in this category. I'm sure it's going to be a great night, that kind of thing, you know? And I encourage the finalists in my awards to do the same. And to do that, we send them an actual list of people's social media handles to make it easy for them to connect. And I appreciate not all awards do that, but it's one of the things that we do. I also advise people never book a whole table ever at awards. And I know it's tempting, but if you've got a team or you want to invite some friends or family with you. However, this is a networking opportunity, okay? You can do other things with your friends and family. Buy 2 to 4 tickets because then that will always ensure that you're sitting with new people. And again, with my awards, we give people the opportunity to say, is there somebody you'd like to sit with? So you could look through the finalist list and say, oh, well, actually, I'd quite like to sit with them. But if you don't get that opportunity, because not all awards do that, at least you're going to be sitting with people that you don't know. And that's a networking opportunity in itself. And what was really lovely at the Best SME Awards a couple of weeks ago was we had our table of ones again. We sat everybody together. And, I had so many messages from that table saying, oh my God, it was amazing. We were all ended up cheering each other on. And we've even formulated a WhatsApp group together because we want to stay in touch. And I love that. And I love the fact that I get stories from people after the awards that said, did you actually strategically sit me with that company? And the answer will be yes, because I will think very carefully about who I sit people with on my table plan. Because we've now got to the point where we're having a conversation about doing some work together. And that makes my heart sing. So make sure you only book 2 to 4 tickets, I'd say maximum. The next thing is connect with judges and sponsors. I think sometimes people are reticent to do that because they think, oh gosh, maybe this is going to be seen as a bit of a strange thing if I connect up with the judges. My judges know they're not allowed to discuss the awards with anybody, and I guess most awards would say the same thing. But connecting with judges and sponsors is really important because generally those sponsors have got involved because they want to connect with you. You are part of that audience. So connect up with them. And then look for ideal collaborations for yourself from that list and introduce yourself to people. And I really think that's quite important. You need to just put your big girl pants on and send messages to people or pick up the phone or send an email. Yeah, okay, they might ignore you, might not want to talk to you. Highly unlikely, but I appreciate that might happen. But you already have the benefit of being able to say, look, I'm also at this event. It'd be really lovely if we could meet at the drinks table and have a chat. Just open that door and actually step through it instead of sitting back and doing nothing. And then there's the whole aspect of you making the most of being at an awards final. So doing a live video on the night, because that's sharing that with whoever your followers are, and also writing a blog about it. And when you've done the post event post that we all do saying, oh, we were here last week, make sure you tag those people. So tagging people on LinkedIn or Instagram that you met that night, or that were the winners that you didn't meet. And, I'll often do posts after I've been to an awards and I may have not even been up for an award. I might just be going along with somebody because I am a bit of an awards tart and I go to a lot of awards. And I will just tag people that won and said, yeah, well done. Here's a photo that I took if I get a good picture. And that started conversations and dialogues over the years. And then you need to create other opportunities via PR. So it's about sending out a press release afterwards. Honestly, I've had so many opportunities again that have come from doing that. So I'll give you another example. I won a Stevie Award, which is a global award for Women Supporting Women back in 2024. And I went to New York to collect that award. It was an amazing experience. And I did a press release to my local press here in Somerset, where I live. And then that was picked up by the county press, and then it was picked up by BBC Radio Somerset. And I got to go and talk to somebody about that experience on BBC Radio Somerset, which then led to a few inquiries about my awards and the stuff that I'm doing. So that's kind of how you can amplify this whole thing. And most people don't do any of these things. So, when I talk to people about awards and I say to them, because I have a podcast called the Business Awards Show, and the people that come on my show have to have won an award. And often I'll talk to them about, well, what did you gain from it? Oh, well, got a bit of PR, but they didn't really do anything else. And if you do all of these things, I promise you, it will change the results that you get. Community now in 2026 is absolutely vital. Yes, of course, we all need a website, SEO, social media, but content at the end of the day now, the feeds are just overloaded with stuff. They are overloaded. And it is community that gets you remembered, it gets you seen. It's the people that you meet. And this is another mixed table there from one of my awards a few years ago. And, they wouldn't have met each other if it wasn't for my awards, and they got to know one another and work together. So you need to think about finding and entering the business awards that don't just recognise success, but build rooms where success multiplies. And as I said, that's what I'm very passionate about. And I have 2 winners' drinks events every year to bring people back together and do an awful lot behind the scenes to try and connect up my winners together. Awards are connectors. So social media content says, look at me, but community says, come with me. And I think that's really important thing to remember at the end of the day, that actually we have to have a community around our businesses now to survive. Without one, you won't go very far, to be honest. I think this is a lovely photo as well. This was taken a couple of weeks ago at my new awards, the Best SME Awards, and be in rooms where success multiplies. And I've always said that being at award ceremonies, whether it's my own or somebody else's, I feed off of that joy and that celebration in the room. I feed off of that because I think it's one of the most joyous business events to ever go to. Because everybody's happy, everybody's celebrating. And as business owners, we don't get enough opportunity to congratulate ourselves. When you work for a company, you're called in once a year for an appraisal, maybe once every 6 months, and told how well you're doing and perhaps areas that you're not doing so well. And when you run your business, nobody is doing that. Nobody is giving you validation, and awards give you that validation and give you that confidence that you're on the right track. So here's a few of my awards that I've won in recent years. So Great British Business Awards. I got 2 awards that year, Female Entrepreneur and Best Female or Best Networker, I think. And then got invited back the following year to present the award, which was lovely. And met lots of great people through the Great British Business and Community Awards, and they run the Southwest Awards and the Thames Valley ones as well. And, I've had lots of things that have come as a result of that. That's my Stevie Award there next to that, which went all the way to New York, but ended up meeting some great people. Still in touch with a woman I met from Australia, would you believe? And got up early one morning to go and speak at her networking event online. That came from that. Female Business Awards last year in Manchester. Again, I ended up in Canal Street in Manchester till 4 a.m. and met a load of people that I would never have met anywhere else. And we had such a great night. And then I just wanted to touch on the F Entrepreneur. So that's on the bottom corner there. Now, the F Entrepreneur will open in September. It's called the I Also 100. So they pick 100 women a year. I was fortunate enough to be chosen in the very first year they ever did it. So it's back in probably 2018, 2019 now. And so that community is massive. There is about 700 or 800 of us now. and they run several events throughout the year and they do stuff online. It's free to enter. There is an entry form, and they're looking for women who are running a business but also doing other things as well, hence why it's called I Also. So if you're supporting a project or you're doing stuff for a charity or you're doing pro bono work, they're the sorts of women they're looking for this particular accolade. It's not an award as such. There's no physical award. They do a gathering for every cohort once a year at the House of Lords, so that's where that picture was taken. But as I said, they do a couple of other events throughout the year, and they do online events regularly, and they've got a Facebook group which is, quite lively. So that's a good opportunity to get involved. And that they're also it's also run by the same people that do Small Business Britain. So I got the Small Business 100 as well back in 2020, which was the pandemic year. So I didn't get to go to the event because it didn't happen because of the pandemic. Um, but the Small Business 100, I think it's closed now for this year, but that's also worth looking at. And they list 100 businesses from across the UK. They do a lot to promote you. So both of these programs are run by Michelle Ovens, who owns Small Business Britain. And she's also got the Lilac Report, which is supporting disabled entrepreneurs as well. So she does an awful lot to support businesses. And then the other picture at the bottom is two of my team, and we were at the SME Hertfordshire Awards last year. And I walked out with several new contacts that, again, wouldn't have had I not been at the awards. So I think we have to step back and say, okay, make this year the year you get recognised for your achievements, but also building a community around your business, which I think is the most important thing, without a doubt, for me. So, any questions?